Welcome to the Messianic Evangelical Bridge, where we rediscover Jesus in his world, rebuild the unity between Jew and Gentile, and grow deeper in the story of God. I'm Stefan Sante, and today we're continuing Series 1, Understanding the Bridge. Let's begin. This episode is entitled The Gentile Church, How Identity Shifted and Why the Bridge Calls Us Back to the Root. After Jerusalem fell and Rome rose, the church didn't just change its location, it changed its identity. The earliest believers were Jewish followers of Jesus who saw him as the fulfillment of their covenant story. But as the gospel spread through the Roman world, the church became increasingly Gentile, and that shift reshaped how believers understood themselves. The question moved from who are we in Israel's story to who are we apart from it? And that subtle change, that quiet redefinition, it transformed the church's self-understanding for centuries. In the first century, Gentile believers were grafted into Israel's story. Paul's letters are full of that language: olive trees, covenants, promises, adoption, inheritance. Gentiles were never meant to replace Israel. They were meant to join her. But as the generations passed, that grafted identity began to fade. By the second century, the Gentile church was defining itself not as part of Israel's story, but as the new Israel, a spiritual replacement rather than a continuation. It wasn't rebellion. It was distance from Jerusalem, distance from the apostles, distance from the world that shaped the gospel. And with that distance came a new identity, one that preserved faith but lost context. Once the church saw itself as separate from Israel, Scripture began to be read differently. Prophecy was reinterpreted. Covenant was spiritualized. The Hebrew world became background rather than foundation. The result was a faith that still loved Jesus deeply, but no longer understood him in his own world. The Gentile church preserved the message of salvation, but it lost the framework that gave that message its meaning. It's like keeping a melody, but forgetting the key. Now, the bridge isn't about undoing history. It's about recovering identity. It's about remembering that the gospel was born in a Jewish world, spoken in a Jewish language, fulfilled in Jewish scripture, and extended to the nations through a Jewish Messiah. It's about rediscovering that Gentile believers were never outsiders. They were invited in. They were grafted into a living story that began long before Rome and continues long after it. The bridge calls us to that root, not to become Jewish, but to understand Jesus in his world and to rebuild the unity that was lost when church forgot where it came from. The Gentile church gave us courage, structure, endurance, but it also gave us a challenge to remember the story we were grafted into. The bridge is that remembrance. It's the work of reconnecting the church to its original world, its original rhythm, and its original identity. Because when we recover the root, we recover the richness of the gospel itself. This is the heart of Series 1. This is the call of the bridge. And this is where the story continues. Now, for deeper study, the full article and show notes are available on Substack. You'll find scripture references, historical anchors, expanded teaching there. This episode is available in both audio and video formats. Choose whichever helps you grow best. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Grafted in, growing forward.